Hi, this is my Design Development and Evaluation Part B assessment. My refined problem space explores how we can design for a system that encourages social distancing and access to a seamless track and tracing process within the T4 Eastern Suburbs and Illawarra line. Previous user research from Part A indicates that the main issues with adhering to health and safety regulations are that users forget to check in due to a lack of visible QR codes, are unable to social distance due to crowded carriages, and have safety concerns when boarding vehicles where passengers are not adhering to health and safety regulations. Drawing from my user research, my assumptions include that passengers don't follow regulations due to lack of access to information, fear of exposure to sick people prevent users from boarding trains, overcrowded trains causes fear, and passengers don't check into the station due to lack of visible QR codes. Train Forecast is an app that will address the issues of inaccessible check-in systems and a lack of social distancing by serving as a train capacity checking and prediction tool, as well as integrating the check-in function. My first user persona, Nancy, works as a nurse in King's Cross Hospital and takes the train to work 3 to 5 times per week. Her work schedule is highly irregular and she will be called in for extra shifts due to the nursing shortage. She rarely uses technology because she spends most of her time at work or caring for her children. Her main motivations include not spreading the virus to her vulnerable sick patients. She is irritated by people in public transportation who do not follow basic health regulations and refuse to ride in the same carriage as them. She requires a system that is simple and easy to follow, as well as one that can advise her on how to use public transportation safely. Belinda is a busy university student who relies on the train because she does not own a car. She has to travel to Central for university 4 times a week and works part-time at a retail store in Cronulla 3 times a week. Her use of technology is extremely high due to her reliance on her phone for work shift notifications. Motivations include that she prefers to keep to herself on the train due to her introverted personality, allowing her to use her travel time as her day's relaxation and seeking as much distance from other passengers as possible. Her frustrations include not being able to sit down due to a long commute to work. She is also irritated by passengers who choose to sit next to her in a crowded carriage because she believes she is being exposed to COVID-19. Her wants and needs include a system that allows her to travel in the least noisy and crowded carriages and one that encourages self-preventative measures. This storyboard illustrates how a user can use Train Forecast to assist them. Belinda has to take a 2-hour train ride to go to her new job and is worried about having to endure cramped conditions for an extended period of time with little social distancing. Her boss has called her asking her to choose a day she is available the following week. Luckily, she remembers that she has the app Trip Forecast to predict crowdedness of trains at different times in train lines. She compares trips in Train Forecast. She is able to see which dates have the safest circumstances for a 2-hour ride. She texts her boss to tell them these dates and is able to travel hours on a train that allows for social distancing. This user journey follows Belinda as she navigates through Trip Forecast. Belinda is fearful as she is required to stay an extended period of time on a train to get to work, and she is uncertain whether or not trains will be overcrowded. She's anxious as her boss asks her which dates she's available for work next week. She's hopeful as she realizes she has Trip Forecast app that can help her plan ahead to avoid crowded trains. She's pleased while she uses the forecast function as it helps her make safer decisions through this app. Feeling relieved, she updates her boss about the date she is able to work. Navigating through the entire app took users on an average of 1 minute and 9 seconds. Positive general observation included that navigation was intuitive as there were repetition of tasks such as inputting the platforms and waiting to see a result, establishing consistency and standards within the app. Negative observation included that the text may be too small and lack of icons for visual interest. Throughout my design process from Part A, I aimed to create initial wireframes that considered ease of use, visibility of system status, aesthetic and minimalistic design. However, some failures had been exposed through user testing, where users had difficulties with the app's check-in function and suggested including other methods of signing in to create a more seamless experience. This led me to consider incorporating user control and freedom through adding back hours, as well as more information matching the login page to establish consistency, and icons to aid easier navigation to check in clearly or the finalized product. For the final product, the user first registers with their email address, phone number, and password, logs in, and then selects the language before allowing location and beginning to predict their trip and seeing how many cases there are in each suburb, crowdedness, and sanitation stations. Users can also precisely predict their trip by inputting dates and stations to and from which they want to see capacity on that specific date. There are also notifications of public holidays or special events that may cause overcrowdedness. They can then return to check in. Thank you very much for listening.